the turkey shoot was a disaster for Jap pilots, then the Battle of Leyte Gulf was a disaster for their whole navy. When we landed on Leyte Island in the Philippines, the remains of the Japanese fleet sailed to meet us for the final great naval battle of the war. The Japanese Navy was outclassed and the battle was a decisive victory for the U.S. Even so, the kamikaze attacks did a huge amount of damage, not all of it physical. The kamikazes sank over 15 U.S. ships in the Philippines. Over the entire war, the kamikazes sank 40 ships. When the Battle of Leyte Gulf was over, we'd sunk the biggest ship I'd ever seen, their super battleship Musashi. We also sunk the carrier Zukaku, the final survivor of the Pearl Harbor attack. In all, the Japs lost 10 times as many ships and planes as us. With their defeat at the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the Japanese Navy was finished.
We have pushed the enemy all the way back to their island fortress of Iwo Jima. In order to strike at the Japanese mainland, we must take Iwo Jima's airfields. The Japanese intend to make us pay for every yard. But be warned, the Japs are going to try everything they can to stop us. They've been quiet so far, but there are 2 airfields on that rock. So be on the lookout for interceptors.
General quarters, all hands, man your battle stations, incoming air raid.
Hell, kamikazes! They took off the Bismarck Sea. We're sitting ducks until we can get this deck cleared.
My men and I are scrambling right now, sir.
Watch out for more kamikazes. Get airborne! There's another wave of suicide planes coming in from the southwest.
Man, that whole idea of kamikaze is a little too much for me to understand. So you join the Army or the Air Force, and you train really hard to learn how to fly a fucking plane, and then they say, well, we don't want to lose, so go ahead and crash your plane into the aircraft carrier. Or I just drive my plane off into the sunset and land somewhere else? Seriously. The hell, man? I wonder if there's anybody that actually did that. Maybe I'll look that up. That'd be fun. See who's like, instead of doing kamikaze, they just flew their plane somewhere else. Like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not killing myself. Fuck that. Fuck Bushido. Fuck all that crap. Just gifted me a plane and I'm trying to kill myself. This is for Japan! Oh my God.
Any free units, report to intercept.
Yo, that'd be crazy if I had kids, you know? A wife, trying to come back. And we started losing and they just asked me to kill myself. Like, no, come on. You guys broker a deal. And I go back to my wife and kids.
Backup bombs. Take out those bombers before they launch any of those things. They're bad news. Ram them if you have to.
At least this plane's got some good machine guns for real.
Bomber going down.
All right, so I found an article. I'm going to go ahead and read it, even though my voice is a little scratchy. It says, Haseo Hoyama first learned how he was due to die from a simple slip of white paper. This is about the kamikaze and living. On it were written 3 options: to volunteer willingly, to simply volunteer, or to say no. But as a 21-year-old airman caught in the thick of Japan's faltering war with the Allies, he knew there was only one choice. Without hesitation, he agreed to fly his plane into the side of a warship, a U.S. warship. With that one act of destruction, he would end his life and the lives of many others. In the name of his emperor, as a member of an elite and supposedly invincible group of young men whose sacrifice would deliver victory to Japan, the kamikaze. So that's the name of a group. I thought the kamikaze pilot was just like, hey, kamikaze, you know, that's like the name of it. But apparently that's the name of what you, like the group of guys. They're like, kamikaze pilots, yeah. They like put their hands all in a circle and then dying for the emperor on 3, you know. Horiyama was a young soldier in an artillery unit of the Japanese Imperial Army when he was drafted into the Air Force. It was late 1944. That must have been a great day. Hey, I'm in the Air Force now. Awesome. I'm going to learn how to fly a plane. It was late 1944, and the tide of war was turning against Japan. In the newly formed kamikaze, Tokyo's military leaders envisioned a dedicated unit of ideologically conditioned warriors willing to die a glorious death for their empire. As a devoted subject of the emperor, Horiyama longed for this moment of glory. Don't long for this. God, it's gotta suck to be that brainwashed. I'm glad. These things like this make me glad to be American, because there's enough. Sorry, I just saw that they were talking. There's enough stuff going on in America where it's kind of hard to gaslight everybody, or we all get to choose our own gas lighting, you know. It's difficult, but it's the answer is never, you know, oh, well, run in there to die. But I guess once you're in the army or any sort of forces, you have to, you know, do what you think is better for the rest of your... Oh, I died. Oh, no. Dang, man. You know it's bad when you explode before you even hit the water. Anyway, yeah, I guess once you're in the army, the idea is that you're supposed to die for people, but, you know, being the hero, making sacrifices for people is one thing, but being drafted as a suicide bomber is like, oh my goodness. That's literally what they had him do, right? They just basically told him, oh, well, you're gonna be a suicide bomber now, like, and instead of, you know, doing it because you love religion like they do with Muslims over there and wherever, now it's like it's the emperor, so now we hook you up with a plane that can't do shit except for fall right into the damn whatever. Anyway. Here's a quote. It says, "We finished our training and were given a slip of white paper giving us 3 options: to volunteer out of a strong desire, to simply volunteer, or to decline." Horiyama, now 92, told The Guardian at his home in Tokyo. Here's the interruption. What? Why are you messing with this? You don't want it anymore? Alright, bye. You wanna watch TV? All right, hold on 1 second. Boy, I'm glad that's over with. Okay, so a model fighter plane sits on a bookcase in the living room of the apartment he shares with his wife. In the corner are cardboard boxes stuffed with black and white photographs of kamikaze pilots, veteran newsletters, journals, and newspaper cuttings. Quote, "When we graduated from Army training school in the Showa Emperor Hirohito visited our unit on a white horse. I thought then that this was a sign that he was personally requesting our services. I knew that I had no choice but to die for him." Quote, "At that time, we believed that the emperor and the nation of Japan were one and the same." By January 1945, more than 500 kamikaze planes had taken part in suicide missions. 500. And many more followed as fears rose of an impending U.S.-led invasion of the Japanese mainland, which is what we're doing here in this game. And by the end of the war, more than 3,800 pilots had died, although there are still disputes over their effectiveness. Suicide missions sank or caused irreparable damage to dozens of U.S. and Allied ships. For the suicide attacks to succeed, the Air Force and Navy needed a new crop of young pilots, many of them taken from other parts of the military and Japan's best universities. Quote, "We didn't think too much about dying," Horiyama said. "We were trained to suppress our emotions. Even if we were to die, we knew it was for a worthy cause. Dying was the ultimate fulfillment of our duty, and we were commanded not to return. We knew that if we returned alive, that our superiors would be angry. I wouldn't return. I'd be sitting there planning on how I was gonna escape. Fuck this, dude. Just give us a chance. Let's start flying into the thing, and then parachute out or something. I'm glad we got things like what do you call it? Autopilot or something. What is the problem with using real bombs? I'm so confused. Anyway, let's see. Let's keep reading. Like other pilots selected for suicide missions, Horiyama was asked to write a will and a letter that would be sent to parents when the mission was completed. I was a disrespectful child and got poor grades at school, he said. I told my father that I was sorry for being such a bad student and for crashing 3 planes during training exercises. Damn. So, they're basically like, yeah, suicide pilot guy, suicide bomber, the kamikaze pilot here. Yeah, he can't fly. He sucks. Hopefully, he can fly the plane into one target. He seems good at crashing. Real Launchpad McQuack. Anyway, Launchpad McQuack from DuckTales, not the Launchpad McQuack from Darkwing Duck, who is actually a good pilot. Anyway, back to the story. This is still quotes. And I was sorry that the course of the war seemed to be turning against Japan. I wanted to prove myself to him, and that's why I volunteered to join the Special Attack Unit. That and the fact that he can't fly a fucking plane. But my mother was upset. Just before she died, she told me that she would never have forgiven my father if I had died in a kamikaze attack. So I'm grateful to the Emperor that he stopped the war. Oh, so he didn't even escape. He was just going to be a kamikaze pilot, and then they were like, oh, no war. So I guess all 100% of the kamikaze pilots made it through. Japan was still flying suicide missions up until the moment. On 15th of August 1945, when Hirohito announced to a shattered people traumatized by nuclear attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki that Japan was surrendering. I couldn't hear the radio announcement on NHK. A spoiler alert, by the way. I couldn't hear the radio announcement on NHK very well because of the static, Horiyama said. One person started crying loudly. That's when I knew we had lost the war. I felt bad that I hadn't been able to sacrifice myself for my country. My comrades who had died would be remembered in infinite glory, but I missed my chance to die in the same way, and I felt I had let everyone down. Jeez, man. Wow, the programming is really strong with these guys. He wanted to die. I mean, he wanted to be a hero and shit, but now he's like, no, I'm not going to be a hero because I didn't die. Like, I didn't commit suicide. That's so weird. Anyway, that was Hisayo Hirayama's story, but not every would-be kamikaze was as fervent in the belief in death for the motherland. When Takahiko Ena learned he had been chosen to fly a suicide mission, he greeted the news in the way he still finds confusing. I felt the blood drain from this. Is the quote. I felt the blood drain from my face. The other pilots and I congratulated each other when the order came through that we were going to attack. It sounds strange now, as there was nothing to celebrate. Ina, 92. Are we attacking? We're attacking the. Oh, we're attacking. Sorry, I haven't been paying attention, obviously, because I'm reading. Destroy the grounded Franks? That's the name of the... Is it because they're German? I'm confused. We stole the prototype, so they shouldn't have German planes, right? So what are Franks? I'm waiting until we get closer so I can see what they are. They are... Well, I guess we never know. Anyway, Ina, 92. Ina? I'm going to go with Ina. No, I'm going to go with Ina because E-N-A is the... Anyway. 92 had been drafted into the depleted ranks of the Navy as a 20-year-old economics student at the prestigious Waseda University in Tokyo. Damn. You're like, you're an economics student, so forget it. Yep. I just died. I don't have a lot of energy. I'm like halfway through. Anyway, so Waseda University. He was sent to join the squadron of pilots in Kyushu, Japan's southernmost main island, in April 1945 when the kamikaze were at their most active. He was a pilot. He was to pilot a crew of 3 aboard a plane with an 800-kilogram bomb strapped to its undercarriage. The aircraft would have fuel only for a one-way flight. Jeez. They were part of Operation Kikutsui, a floating chrysanthemum. Oh, that's... You're going to give it a name like that? Anyway. All right, you're going to... I guess floating chrysanthemum would make sense once the bomb explodes. It'll be like a flower in a pond. Anyway, an ambitious suicide bombing mission against the Allied ships, bombarding Japanese forces in the Battle of Okinawa, one of the bloodiest battles in the Pacific theater. By the latter stages of the war, Japan was relying on aging planes that had been stripped and adapted for suicide missions. Many failed to start or encountered engine trouble en route to their targets. Most of those that got within striking distance of Allied warships were shot down before they made impact. It was this dismal mechanical record, a reflection of the desperate lengths to which Japan's military leaders were willing to go to win the war, that was to be Ina's salvation. Right, on the 28th of April in 1945, he steered his aircraft along the runway at Kushira Airfield in Kagoshima Prefecture, but failed to get airborne. His second mission ended in failure when the engine trouble forced him to make an emergency landing at a Japanese airface base, still carrying the bomb intended for the enemy. 2 weeks later, on the 11th of May, he was steeling himself for a third attempt, accompanied by a 20-year-old co-pilot and an 18-year-old communications officer. Quote, "On the surface, we were doing it for our country," Ina said. We made ourselves believe that we had been chosen to make this sacrifice. I just wanted to protect the father and mother I loved, and we were all scared. Early into what should have been his final flight, engine trouble forced Ina's plane into the sea. The 3 men survived and swam to nearby Kirishima Island. Okay, where they stayed for 2.5 months before being picked up by a Japanese submarine. That's hilarious. Shortly afterwards, Japan was a defeated nation. Ina's relief that the war was over gave way to optimism about the future. Even as Japan set about rebuilding its devastated cities and counted the human cost of its militarist adventure on the Asian mainland. Quote, "We felt sadness about the friends we had lost during the war, but we were also trying to envision how we would rebuild Japan," he said. That meant embracing the country's new U.S. written constitution, whose pacifist Article 9 restricts Japanese military to a strictly defensive role. He bristles when asked about attempts by Japan's conservative Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to reinterpret the clause to allow troops to fight alongside allies overseas for the first time since the conflict that almost took his life. A quote, "For 70 years we have been protected by a peace-oriented constitution," he said. "I'm very grateful that we haven't gone to war in that time. The Japanese people should be very happy about that." So there you go. Either you actually made it out there and hit your target, or you got blown up in the air, or your crappy plane didn't quite work and you'd crash it, or the war just ended before you got activated. So there you go. Kamikaze. Anyway, back to the game.
Almost total air superiority. Those Japs didn't know what hit them. Return to the carrier and get a good night's rest, Crowe. We'll need you to support the assault on Iwo Jima tomorrow.
Iwo Jima is heavily fortified with anti-ship guns, pillboxes, and a vast underground cave system. We have taken a leaf out of Doolittle's book and borrowed some B-25 ground attack bomber variants off the Army. We need you to drop smoke flares into the bunkers and the hidden coastal guns. And the gunners on our battleship will finish the job. Once the guns are knocked out, the Marines can move in. Once their amp tracks land, support the Marines' advance by destroying the machine gun nests, pillboxes, and enemy soldiers.
All right, Crowe, you take the fat ladies of yours and go hit the beach while I cover your butt from above.
Okay, Murphy. You better come running if I holler, though. This thing ain't gonna be much use if I run into some fighters.
Trust me, I'll make sure they don't touch a hair on your little head.
Okay, Lieutenant. Gun those engines and get those sick bastards off my deck.
Bomber Squadron, listen up. Crowe, I want you and your men to concentrate on flattening those fortified naval guns. We'll keep the fighters off your back. You worry about getting your bombs on the mark.
Yes, sir. We'll smash them to rubble. Keep an eye out for large fortified guns and concrete bunkers, man.
This is Callahan off of Lexington. My wing is coming in from the west. I can see fighter wings launching from the Japanese air bases. Watch yourself.
Don't sweat it, Lieutenant. I can take care of them.
Here's the target, sir. Fly over them nice and slow so I can mark them with a smoke flare.
Smoke away.
Bandit, 7 o'clock.
too fast. Smoke away. Smoke away.
Hostile, break left. You got a flank on your tail.
Ah, damn it. It looks like the Japs repaired most of the damage from yesterday's raid. Still, we must have put a dent in their fighter squadrons.
Smoke away. Damn, too fast.
Damn it, 4 o'clock.
Smoke away. Damn, too fast.
The Japs don't want to give up this island without a fight.
Bandit, 5 o'clock.
Hurry up, Crowe. We can't send in the Marines until those guns are destroyed.
Damn, too fast.
Bandit, 12 o'clock, high.
Damn, too fast. Smoke away.
This thing's turning into Swiss cheese.
Smoke away.
Bandit, 3 o'clock, high. Fly, damn it, fly.
Smoke away.
God damn, these Japanese fighters are tough. Watch out for their cannons, boys. They pack quite a punch.
Smoke away.
up, Lieutenant. The Japs are scrambling their planes from underground hangars. Take out the hangar entrance at each airstrip and destroy any parked bombers or fighters you see.
More damn Tojos coming out of that hangar!
work, Crowe. We've got another support mission for you. Landing force is on its way. We have to take out as many of those short guns as possible or they'll decimate our Marines. I'm assigning you to cover the southeast beach, Crowe, while my wing will cover the southwest.